Shudan sogi chonana chanchu badu dani gyalsu chi dagi chenyang yi pe sanamgi drola penchi sangye drupa shu. Shudan sogi chonana chanchu badu dani gyalsu chi dagi chenyang yi pe sanamgi drola penchi sangye drupa shu.
Hodong la me me da me wang ji wang bo da jia jian lo zo ju jie zhao lo jia wa san jie zong ba rao do jie jie de be ju ju ba jie da da jie dan bei jue nian jie ni de jie jie lo ye ge dang lu dang jie jie ge zhe gong da dan ge ye ge na zhou wo gong jie zhang na jie dong ba dang jie ge da da ge jue de dong. Ada teri nga to dos roots jayate. On dire. Dani kini lo ta lo ni ko konde. Dene ma jene nandro la ja. Jima shegi chen nandro la ja ra hai ma rin dev sindri chu so je. Nyong tri so. Ma shegi chen. Ani mege Kyabje lo Golia. Kyabje lo Yamba Tutin Zava Sundru Jet. Depado Shatar. Dan denema Sanden da Shiram Yeti Sheju Deyo. 다 상대의 새로운 예보대 예래 이란 예보대 얘네들하다 니니 she를 해줘 안에 아파지 저지 안에 가서 갈지 거라지 자지 천년나기 주제 아니 저 거기야 나사기 젠데 양 거두대 휴마도베제 오도스 랜로레 아니 가상 네 휴사디 하고 있어 팀원 팀원이 패송구나 안에 데리트서 좀 봐. 온도스 젠마
Very well, we all find ourselves together once again. The reason why we're here today, is like a continuation of teachings that I began long time ago, at least a couple of years ago, with the program of the experiential Lamrim teachings that I've drawn mostly from the liberation, but not only from the liberation. And the commentary, the teachings I was giving was a sort of experiential commentary in which I would explain, drawing from different sources, the subject matter of the graduate path to enlightenment, or what we call Lamrim. And the students are supposed to meditate and to put that into practice as much as possible. That's why is called experiential or Nyomtri. However, I did not complete the entire explanation of the Lamrim. As a matter of fact, we did the three scopes up to the fourth perfection, that is the perfection of effort. So we enter the paramitas as well. And the remaining, what is left to explain are the two last perfection of what is called concentration and wisdom. So what happened is that I started teachings, we got to a certain point, and then I suddenly decided to take trips, random trips around the world. And those random trips have taken me to a lot of places, and at the end of my journey I also got sick. So at the end of my journey was Singapore. I got sick in Singapore. I had a minor surgery. I came back. And then slowly I was getting back into shape when the management of the Land of Medicine Buddha came over several times requesting to continue and to finish the teachings of the Lamrim, and here we are.
All those journeys, Kasa Kali Chikin, Anne Landori, Anne Kona to the journey, Timasumba the Yimba, Anne Tanda Traveramento, the Taman Kali Kali Shiki, all the numbers.
That's why we had this delay in the teachings. I went to travel to lots of places, and then I got sick. I had to recover, and then I think the Land of Medicine Buddha requested probably a couple of times, probably 3 times. Although I'm not totally recovered, mind, I'll do my best to finish the teachings right now. So first, throughout the teachings, starting from now, try to be aware and visualize or imagine that you are actually the Kospek in front of the merit field of Lama Losang Tu and Doji Chan, surrounded by the spiritual children, by the other lamas.
Lama Losang Tu Doji Chan Yabze Yaba Jebe Doji Dadang Lo Ju Jeba Tadagi Shiju Chudan Jeba Jinje Lo Shiju Chudan Jeba Jinje Lo Dande Je Dang Wonder Chu Yetade Chichana Ani Tadi Rangi Tadi Chichane Mushikan Ma China Yalan also. So there will be a very short sort of motivation, generation of motivation or introduction to the teachings before we enter the actual subject. Ani jenge lola doje somba so dewa chiwa nampi jinno lo somba na hinge. Ani chue nyambala ya gajen nyeji juan song pang tuanjen dushi zhu tenpi boni nyengu yoga te tenpari. And there is a verse from the Tantra of the Vajra Garland that advises the listener, the one who is receiving the teachings, to clear his or her mind from all types of conceptualizations or mental discursiveness, and to listen attentively, retaining the meaning of the teachings, and that is to signify what is taught at the beginning of the teachings, the correct way of listening to the teachings that is free from the faults of the 3 vessels. Tuanjen dushi zhugu nani rangli nyaba tebin dushi, chö tenpala menpa tebin dushi, chö li menjin dushi, nende nyangso nyambala nen sobin dushi, denyin shibala jibu tampin dushi, chö je sula ringdo nebin dushi, jene dushi zhugu sumbari. And so at the beginning, at the outset of the teachings, we are advised
to eliminate those who are the unfavorable circumstances to receive correctly the teachings, that is, the faults as explained in the example of the 3 vessels, the broken one and so forth, and also to adopt the right attitude that is conducive to be for the optimum reception of the teachings for your mind, that is the 6 like the 6 considerations. First of all, like the most important one is that you have to consider yourself as a patient, and the Dharma as the medicine, and the teacher as the doctor, as well as having great respect for the Buddhas and the teachers, and the intention of upholding and to one's capacity in spreading the teachings.
아니 사와 카지 유지래 사와 대설에 아니 냐마 텐데 고마뇨나 아니 데리케와 삼보레 삼바다 온 데레케 삼바탄투니 야바.
And I'm aware that the majority of you are all disciples, so you have heard and practiced and listened to this many times. So the repetition, whatever repetition you find in the teachings, is directed to you as a reminder, just to refresh your past memory. And also there are some few of the new students who haven't heard this before. Therefore, the new students should feel very fortunate to finally listen to these teachings, finally be able to listen to these teachings.
단대나니 추로발 면서 추년발이야 계전 뇌지 변송다 튼전 뒤시 족스드 다주고데 라라 나바데변 뒤시 추담발라 맨벤 뒤시 추는 맨진 뒤시 아니 대인시발라 지고담변 뒤시 추주술라 링도 내변 뒤시 자네 단 뒤시로 편전 뒤시로 된고 야래 단데 단데 편전 돼서 야바도 상고 야래 편전 돼서 야바도 상고 야래 라라 야바데변 뒤시지 유나 아니 최대한발라 멤버되는 뒤시 용거래. 최대한발라 멤버되는 뒤시 종나 아니 최대 맹긴 뒤시다. 안 내대 양소랑만은 내소빈 뒤시도서 마진배 셔도마 디니 용거래. 가만가만게 치마치마 되게 되는 용거래. 내서 야고야. 다 당보 알려서 치슈디 데레 라나 네바 데벤 라나 네바 데벤 두시데 매나 아니 최담발라 맨벤 두시다 최는 맨긴 두시샤야 데 가고래 배나 주주 참만에 된데 손도 가르 손을 파면 내진 주나야 맨뱅 아긴 제구나 너차 나서 예자지 내제 따다 뮤지그 송 언제서 틀사고 싫어요.
So now, in regard to the correct attitude of listening to the teachings, this is something that you have to recreate within your own mental continuum, as far as eliminating, for the time being, the faults of the faults, like the wrong ways or the wrong attitude of listening to teachings, and adopting the right one, particularly the 6 recognition. Among these 6 recognitions are very much interdependent. The most important, that means that if you have the first, the second will come along and spread the second, the third, and so on and so forth. You cannot just have them one at random that pulls everything together. The most important one is the recognition of being a patient, like being sick. If you have the recognition of being like a patient, then the recognition that the Dharma is your medicine will come along. Once you have the recognition of the Dharma is your medicine, the recognition that the doctor, the teacher, is like the doctor that will follow, and so on and so forth, the others. And Rinpoche mentioned a verse from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, engaging in the Bodhisattva deeds, that mention how these poisons, delusions such as desire and so forth, are actually sickness. Like even if you are not plagued with an external sickness, we all carry the worst sickness, that are the three delusions, attachment and so forth.
Nga nāca sā kē mē tō wā dē, kē nā kē mē sāmbā tī chā na, rīyā yā mā rī. Sō sō kā rī kē nā dī yā rī sā na, chā tāng mōng sōng kē nē sā kē mbō jī tāp chē dē dī yā rī. Chō jī rī, dē chā tā, xie tāng tā, tīng mū tā, jī, sē nā tā, chā tō tā. 查到老错吧，我点这些空着的查到老错吧，这说给年色全部解决到底要的，我点我嘛全部解决，大家在他们人呢，弄出白干老错吧，点这就拿不了呀，即他们那些，你完了明白啊，明白啊，讲到别个去，早就别个去讲下去，我呢别个年色全部的，搞不到有名一下嘛，过不去。Well
then, some of you might be thinking, I'm not really sick, I'm actually quite well, I'm quite healthy, so I don't know what we're talking about here, why should I consider myself like a patient? Well, this is a wrong way of considering the situation. In the context of the teachings, your sickness are delusions. And the delusions such as ignorance, anger, desire, miserliness, jealousy, and so forth, those are real chronic diseases that we carry with us since a very long time. You see, under normal circumstances, you have some unbalance of your elements, bile, and so forth, or anyway something that you call sickness. Right away you seek a treatment, you seek a doctor, you're very careful, you check your medicines, and so on, you do everything you can. So it means you place a great deal of attention to your health. Unfortunately, what is the most important? Disease. And the most important health. The most important health is the mental health, and the most chronic important disease are delusions we totally neglect to look into those. So this is not the way of doing it.
Oh, but long to begin get down of so what to see what Jayagi, Mankayan, Tajacham, we jumped on there. Oh, Dana, divide Jacham Bandola, you get machine gun that the Solia, Mankan was a bad. The American outlaw and Mankan Chishu Jew orders. Jew Nani Jigresa. Or that need bear massive Mankan chamber in the jump to one. So long to begin. Then did member to so courage or sooner. Then they long down tip by begging lots of attending near Yijata. Carry your name, that's what you are, Mato. Then they got the Chatham Monsongi and Jokache Mari. What did it?
So, like for instance, I was some time ago, I was in Michigan and I went for checkups and for some health problems to this huge hospital. This was a huge hospital. They told, They actually told me that was one of the 10 biggest hospital in United States, medical college. And they're totally organized. There are so many doctors and as well so many patients. So whoever is in there as a patient is there because he's got some physical problem caused by unbalanced elements, whether it be in bile, phlegm, or wind disorders, all those sickness, all those physical sickness, they come from those unbalanced elements, and there are medicine for each of those diseases as well. But none of them is there, the institution as well, in order to provide assistance for protecting from diseases such as delusions.
Oh, tiene red and do on the Tokangalo. Dande Nangama Boyone, Nangan to so. Da Chadam Monson de Pembe, and Natai Jokajaya sus Kemendua. Dande oh, that in the
Therefore, on the other hand, all those sort of mental health institutions, such as the great monasteries and so forth, that they thrived in the past in the eastern countries, such as India and Tibet and so forth. They still are there today. Those over here, they seem to be quite rare.
Generally, Ran never devin do yes. Never devin do she shabamato, never married to Giamari. Never one and never did, not to never chimbut up the yard. On Nazue Tangiori, Nazule Shiratangiori. G. Joshagin Nazu, Nikiatangin Nazu, Timungin Nazu. 안에 다가 나신게 나소에 참고시라 당주요. 인데서 단다 무엇에 나봐마. 무엇에 종나 아니 언제 야당이 나소래다. 가시에네 양을 총발라서 버텐데 지금도 야당라네. 아니 양을 총발라서 어디에 지금도 나소 당자네. 아니 양을 총도. 아니 또 세발라서
So therefore, when we talk about those 6 recognitions or attitudes, the first is being sick or a patient is not just an attitude, just like something that you temporarily adopt or think for yourself. Oh well, right now I'm sick. No, actually, the sickness are there. We all are patients. We all have these chronic diseases of delusions, such as anger and so forth. And these delusions, point is, we haven't focused on those yet. That's why we're kind of we're not clear of what is wrong with us. But actually, what is wrong with us are the delusions, and they themselves they bring incredible pain, like real, even physical and mental pain. Delusions such as you're experiencing the pain of desire, the pain of anger, the pain of ignorance, and so forth. The people do all sort of bad things under the influence of this, like killing themselves, using poison, jumping out of windows, and so forth. These delusions are serious, are a serious pain and a serious disease.
당아도니 지 얼롱치 백엔라 소바텐데 내리 기자다 좀 고야게 난칸 라마 토바 유어버지리야 아니야 디타네 차당 몽송라 소바 대속에 냐와기야게 아니지 난칸스네 면도 on the Chinju Mata Meva. The Soy Gita, Chinju Mata Meva. Or the radio in the so, any Tanaji, Java Soda, Aniji, Sumasoli, Shusa, Aniji, thank you, Gipigi.
So I think it's really a pitiful situation what we live in. The fact that, as I say before, if we are sick, physically sick, there's not basically we can be taken care. There are so hundreds of thousands of medical institutions of different sizes for different problems, and so on and so forth. While for the most difficult, the most chronic disease of the mind, we really have practically nothing. Very small. Any institutions that I would guess might be the Dharma centers are small, then not operating very large and not reaching masses and so forth. And so this is kind of unfortunate to the extent that even if we are here to develop this wisdom, to develop Dharma and so forth, for instance, for ordained people, whether it be monks and nuns, we even fail to secure a stable place for them to live and develop.
Rana never did do here lots of do here road. Any children number, children, any net and you got a number normal, never do he road and be gone. Any engaging children, young gaging, guardian go. Oh. 三星都相对用啊那个就够呀，用啊，你要看不代表这样的，你想到代表这样的，你要这么讲代表这样了说吧，你这样就是怕塞，你就听见就是做周边观呢，你确实给人要我要的。
So, however, let's stop here. I don't want to go into some discussions that might not be, this might not be the venue for those discussions. Now, we are, again, it would be good if you try to reassess your mind and your motivation. Most important, be free from scattering thoughts or wrong motivations and so forth, as in the example of the three vessels, and try to generate as much as possible the understanding of your sickness, that the medicine is the Dharma, and so forth, those six recognition we were talking about. It would be great if you could listen to teachings within this frame of mind.
On the legend. The subject on the mandro in the dear subject on that just said you Java. Nangatadanya, the Sinja Tamji, you don't to Tojalana, my young dog was the Sanji to go on and Jenny Jatova. Teacher don't just said you Java Jadam. Ane Chava and Pajin Tamani, Yanni. Aneji, Sinja Mamma, you turn to Jan Yambandoji.
So now, as for the motivation, try to think in this way. For the benefit of all my mother sentient beings who are numberless, so many as vast as the space, I must achieve the supreme state of enlightenment in order to liberate them from their suffering. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the precious Mahayana teachings, particularly the two last perfections. I'm going to engage in the practice of the perfections of the bodhisattvas, just as the bodhisattva do, in order to bring all sentient beings to a perfect state of enlightenment.
Passion Tamaniela Lapsus. Lapsula, and Nanseki subject ninja. Dan Nanseki subject Jagode, San Danjamo, Yenela Lapsutan, Sheriff Jamo, Hautona Lapsus. Ninja. On those.
So now, as for the general outline of the subjects, the subject matters in the Lamrim, we are at the individual of great scope, and within that there is a general explanation of the 6 perfections and a more detailed, particular explanation of the 2 last perfections, the perfection of concentration and what we call Shine, and the perfection of wisdom, what we call Platon, and so we are at this section now.
Sandanjamo, Yenela Lapsu Delaya, Ane Nansik Subject True Jan. Subject True. Trondo. True Jan. Tambo Delia, Nansik Subject True Jan. Ikenja Tso Damba. Ikene Rutu. Tela Dana, Sene Gudu, Titop Drogun Rolo, Tela Yije Yuzu, Tele, Annie, Yenenga Jesu, subject.
So there are 6 outlines that are taken mainly from the liberation in regard to the actual topic of training in calm abiding. That is first cultivating the requisites for achieving calm abiding. Here is called quiescence. I'm not going to call it quiescence. The actual method of achieving calm abiding, how to cultivate the eight factors that overcome the 5 faults, how to attain the 9 level of mental stability on the basis of the previous instructions, and how to attain the 9 levels by means of the 6 powers. Then the 5th is the 4 kinds of attention that are applied in cultivating calm abiding and the actual state of calm abiding, and the way in which the actual state of calm abiding arises on the basis of pursuing these practices.
Ordinary. Da Yina Rangi Wode Chashavina, Yina Rangi Wode Kandeju Arizona, Chiriva Togi, Alamta, that Tomod. Then they pick up Yagagi, Penava Chiriva Dosori. Oh, the Soki, that river Savashira, and the river Yahoyor, no, should I? River Pemazivayor, and the Soli. Oh, the Sota Tomongi, Churki sort of Ojiri.
Now, if we try to identify what is calm abiding, the state, the mental state we call calm abiding, it is something that is not a peculiarity of the teachings of Buddha alone. As a matter of fact, all the main religious traditions in India, so not only Buddhism, but the other traditions in India, such as Hindu and so forth, they do have the practice of calm abiding, almost the same as outlined in the Buddhist teachings. Mind, those people, those kind of religious traditions are not to be underestimated. They are very sharp, their tenets are very sharp, very profound, and the explanations are very vast. So anyway, it is called the practice of calm abiding, it is called the practice in common. that means that it's not just a peculiarity of the Buddha's teachings, but it is something practiced also by these other Indian traditions. Yes.
Dade ngazoge dagara nyamso langu yare nyamso mane bade yare nyamso langu yare de yena yang jue yama jue me abade kende rezuna ngaran doli ya gadang be lama goma toge tonda ni ni jawani sonne ani thoma kulon juyade jama chwanjiki kulon 양보 지제 타마들은 뭐데 야고 지제 도세 제기나 아니 버루기 자단도서 자단스나요 공단도서 아니 도모이네 괜시라 매베서 어디를 숨어요.
And however, you should not think, well, this is a practice that I'm Buddhist, I'm following the Buddhist path, why should I take up a practice that is also in common with other religious traditions that I have no connection whatsoever? And this, the reply to this kind of qualms comes straight from the Kadampa Lamas of the past. They taught us there are two main important actions: the actions at the beginning and the action at the end. That means at the beginning, the most important thing before any practice you are set to is to generate the correct motivation, the motivation of bodhicitta, and at the end to dedicate your merits. While when in your spiritual endeavor, if it's framed by these two, but the initial practice, that is the motivation, and the end practice, that is the dedication, so then there is no mistake, even if it's a practice that is in common with other religious system. And on the top of this, anyway, we have no way out but try to put into practice karma abiding, because it's an indispensable tool for all other practices that we're going to engage.
당아란 저게 얘네 공주 얘네 원로게 꼴론데 견데스 쥐고 그랬으나 년중게 산배 짐바이나 아니 탑에 주는 거고요. 아니 얘네 공부 탑에 주는 거고요. 아니 잠들 짐바이나 아니 최선 거고요. 최선 담배 최선 거고요. 언제래 단데 얘네들 매나 쥐가리 요르스나 아니 얘네들 매나 도초기 동니다 나기 지도 지린도 도린라서 아니 공중게 또바 참버돼서 아니 제주가고래 배주가고래.
So now, like for instance, if you have the list, what do you need in order to first engage in the practice of karma abiding, for the practice of karma abiding to become an actual practice for you? That is, at least it should be based on the perfect refuge. If the practice, if you engage in the practice of karma abiding on the basis of refuge, then at least the practice will take you along to future upper rebirths. If you have on the top of that even the thought of renunciation, then it will take you out of cyclic existence, and so forth, and so on and so forth. One thing that we should be aware of is that we really need to try and engage in the practice of karma abiding, because if you are aspiring or aiming to achieve the realization of, like in the sutra path, such as the realization of emptiness, direct realization of emptiness, and so forth, or you are planning to progress in the two tantric stages of the highest yoga tantra, like the gradual stage of generation and completion stage, none of this realization will come about if you have not achieved karma abiding before.
단데 현내의 야고지 정보지 야고지 매나 소소주 내 매바이나 아니 동아게 땡땡지 동아니게 땡땡지 연대 견대지 제고 연애야 아니 연애 매나 가보래 토마 네 땀버지 두가 네 개천버리 레디샤
So you might find yourself thinking, well then, how am I going at the outside of the path that you want to travel? How am I going to achieve those realizations of higher concentrations, as explained in the Sutra path, or those very specific concentrations they need to be achieved during the two tantric stages of generation and completion stage? The answer is calm abiding. Without that, you cannot. It means that it is almost a key for all the qualities deriving from the various levels of progression of the path, both being in the sutra and in the tantra. Therefore, it seems like the practice of calm abiding is something that one should be pursuing right from the beginning.
아니 다가나 신기 고려 싸와 변세 말해봐다 아니 타바다 타발라야 아니 동니도의 라동 제괴가 인자 아니 대체와를 야신에 때문에 야버도 더고 그래 이로 다 최강다 강인의 되게 타도나 이로 그던 세보 아니 통화를 야 당보 내차 당보 주고 뭐야 내차대 당보 주고 뭐야.
That's why, for instance, even if you just pursuing the realization of emptiness, that should be a direct realization of emptiness is preceded by a conceptual realization of emptiness that is found in the spatial inside. The spatial inside is preceded by calm abiding, and calm abiding and spatial inside need to be joined into a union of the two. Because if you want to pierce really deeply the very subtle meaning with an intense clarity that is required in order to realize that particular subject, in general realizations, the very stage of realization, you need a very a movable mind that is able to be placed on that very subtle meaning with with piercing precision and real deep clarity. So that's why calm abiding is so important. It provides that kind of mind.
Bana kampa tongpa jiga naloliya. Ani naukung. Denani diri yago yobache. Kampa tongpa jiga naloli diri de bama ziba jabi yagrete. Yine ko naukung yinta. Ani den diri de kenden do, kenden mendo. Ani taju de kagore. 단디 야고지 따토가 제발이야 아니 되고요 넘바파 세야기 아니지 마음에 세워지거든 대야 롱기 내줘 마음에 세라 롱기 내줘 니토치 공부요 네 캔은 로기나 아니 데리 아니 피겐 데리라고 되는 가리 자기는 대서 강로 아니 소소가 다투그래만도 아니 never.
And the example given in the teachings is that, for instance, if you are in a very dark cave or place where the walls of this place are covered in real nice and detailed frescoes, if in the darkness you cannot see. You cannot see that. You lit a match or a candle, and the light provides you enough view to see the details. But if there is some draft in the cave or in the house, and the flame is kind of trembling, then you don't have sufficient stability of light to see the beauty of the fresco. So that's in the same way.
견레레 아니 얘네들 야고 좀 로베이나 아니 단조 된제냐가 더 메다바 공비 또바 춘체이네 아니 지 낭낭 슈슈케 아니 지 소소 로리야 아니 비게지 메다벤 로탄 켄데레 단조근 로탄 켄데레 단조니에 갑수 켄데레 데서 강올라 세 세지도 비게 네가들 네네 단다이나 가라도 단다 공개 단다 얘기인다고 지라면 돼. 언제 많이 받잖아. 그런 레레 현도네 야오니 용이야.
Like if you, for instance, there is a substantial difference. If you have already achieved calm abiding and you meditate on the different stages of the path, and if you have not, like what is for us now, we meditate, for instance, on the freedom and endowments, on all those subjects. We might reach some understanding. We know what is going on. We know what is subject, but by the way we meditate, we forget whatever we meditate just before. Whenever we switch to a new subject, it is very difficult for us to retain it and to pierce it deeply. Well, if you have calm abiding, each of those topics becomes really profound, really deep, and you have the capacity of piercing it. So the realization of even those topics, such as freedoms and endowments and so forth, it is a total different scenario.
Oh, does it? 얘네 야고지 털어지는 그게 또 뭐지 가르려서나 아니 이거를 송요래 얘네 럽도 된별 하동기 묘모 남바른 좀바 시제네 도마 얘네 되자 송네.
And as Shantideva has told us in the Bodhisattva Charivatara, the main, in general, the main reason for us to engage in calm abiding and achieve calm abiding is because in order to free yourself from the bondage of cyclic existence, you need to develop the direct realization of emptiness that is developed on the basis of spatial insight. Therefore, in order to achieve the spatial insight, the first thing you need to do is to meditate and develop calm abiding.
Nueva zona bateranda dire dane to bikira la so ba so rete yenayandi yenagi ani joken shira tangi joba na so ya ndi tang ta jere.
And although the antidote to delusions, to cyclic existence, to ignorance is not calm abiding. The actually is that wisdom of spatial insight, the wisdom that realizes emptiness. So in order for that wisdom to be stable enough to sever the root of cyclic existence, then you need calm abiding that provides you an incredible boost towards the realization of emptiness. And as is mentioned in the liberation, you should not think that you will start to meditate and to try to develop calm abiding only after you have developed bodhicitta or stuff like that. No, it should be right at the start of your practice while you are also developing the other stages of the path, such as guru devotion and so forth. So you should start right then together to develop calm abiding.
Yene rabdo dembel hatongi nyomo namo nyomba hijene thoma yene zeja son onde somba de nyoba chamba hirare dama de ma junghi ane nyomo wangmo chik chimba yena ane ji 아니 가비 가고 싫어서 그래. 녀몽배 왕워. 아니 왕교. 그 왕주 집에 왕들이 직친 직 내신 아니 빠르고서 그랬다.
And that's why it's so important what is taught in the Bodhisattva here. Actually, I have the quotation that says, realizing that inside, yoke to quiescence or calm abiding brings distractions of mental afflictions. Calm abiding should be pursued first. That means right on the outset. Otherwise, you face the danger of, even if you practice in Dharma, you go ahead and you do the various stages and so forth, because the mind hasn't found the actual stability of calm abiding, sooner or later will be under the power of delusions, and delusions are extremely destructive and dangerous.
얘네 야보 진로가 있나? 아니 티바숨지 남 냠네 아니 티바숨지 남 냠네 가르다 가르자비 얘네 아니 지 사취 힘도 전부 사취라면 손 전부 연구래.
And so if you are in a position where you actually have already achieved calm abiding, and you are attempting to pursue the other stages of the path, whatever it is even from the beginning, each of those topics will become so profound, so full of meaning, so wide in the response to your mind. So it is actually indispensable.
다 얘네 공부 잡으려 야 당보 알이 얘네 그 초. 초된구요. 초. 얘네 그 초세도 되리려 버리래. 얘네 저 초.
Shineki di Tadrida, ya? Tadrisando Masea, Kudinta Nyando Kyo.
Nyando Kyo.
No.
얘네 저 초. 얘네 저 초. 얘네 저 초된구요. 안타 네 얘네 저 초대서 아버지 마데나 아니 얘네로 말해. 얘네 만도나 아니 괜찮가리 열었으나 얘네야라 남 냠베 rabdum bede gongje jang lo ne tongcha dagi jang dingding zhuba yong men juru. Dingding zhuba men juru. Lam zheng ne songbe. Gari. Lam zheng di dirama. Nyame zhuwa chimbo.
No.
Lam zheng ne songbe. Yene yangla nam nyamba nyambe songre. Yene ge yangla de so nyam songna. Nyamba yena rabdum bede gongje jang. Rabdum bede peki den di chen gongha chen yang song gongje lo ne tongcha de lo tongcha je gongba yene ding ding du ju ka bo de.
And and before you set yourself into developing calm abiding, there are requisites, things that you need to acquire or to possess in order to be able to bring to completion your practice. Otherwise, if you're missing even some of this, as Atisha taught us in the Lamp of the Path, even if you strenuously meditate for thousands of years with the correct way of meditating, you stick on your practice, you stick on your object of meditation, and you practice Shine even for over a period of 1,000 years, you're not going to be able to achieve it. So you need some prerequisites before that are indispensable. If those are missing, that's not going to come.
Da dine yenta, da yene gu cho tenpa le ya zhu jani. Tunbe yunan neba de jik, ndaba chungwa, cho xeba, jawa mambu, dunzin yongso pamba, tsutin daba, ndaba lao sobe, namdo yongso pamba, jani.
So these are the 6 requisites. First is an agreeable place, the place where your dwellings, your retreat place for the generation Shine should be something agreeable. And inside yourself, as far as your mental attitude, you should be someone of very few desires, like with very low level of desires. And someone who's satisfied, who's content and satisfied with whatever is there. And you should also, the place where you are should be a place that is free from noises and so forth. And you, while you're practicing this meditation, throughout the period that you set yourself to practice this meditation, you should not be involved in other types of activities or anyway having lots of things to do while you actually meditate on calm abiding. And your moral conduct, that means your morality should be stainless. And and also you should not have that much trupa di carrere Rinpoche. Trupa da di ci ore vale. Tampunine ya dochun ore vale. Topa chunwa da.
Mare deba lausa ben deba den ya yandare.
No.
Den deba de ya dochun choshi kan deba dire. Ande deba de ya
no. So, and also, like the last, I ask a little thing, Rinpoche, I'll tell you. It says here, I read, overcoming thoughts about sense objects and other things, that is more like overcoming thoughts of desire. So there is another point at the beginning that seems to be similar, that is having few desires. So, but this is, the 6th is more specific. Having few desire, it doesn't mean, it is just a general sense. The 6th is more specific, letting the mind running after objects of desires and so forth. So that is one of the obstacles.
Deva shoma de devja chato gun deva je. Deva dechung choshi gun deva je, deva nyama dechung choshi. Deni dot chan ring
Landu, because the first George, what do you think about the second point that is more refers to dochun choshi, right? Having been content with few desires, while the last one it seems to be referred to more the mind that just follows after the object of delusions, of desires, and so forth. What do you think about this?
Sounds good. Sounds correct.
Rinpoche said, I think so. No. So, please, if George, Venerable George, if you will, can just spend some moments thinking about the difference between Dochun Choshi, that type of desire, and the last one, like that. See, maybe we'll come about again. Rinpoche is interested to know your opinion.
Da yene ruyagi yudi yene rusagi sajade ani chabangan denji goguya sonyo chabangan denji goguya sonyo dian do de jene luan den gang to rubi yu lingwa nya da nya sang da sa sang wa dang zhou sang da nen jo de bi yo je den
So now, for the first, what is a favorable place, a conducive place to develop calm abiding? So that is explained in the ornament of the Mahayana Sutra Alankara. There is a verse that exemplifies the 5 characteristics that a place conducive to the practice of calm abiding should have, and the place where a wise person practices should allow material needs to be easily gained, be a safe area and a wholesome location, have good companions present, and be conducive to meditation. So these are the 5 characteristics as quote from the Mahayana Sutra Alankara.
Da tabo ale londe kanto drubi liwa nye dang. Da chu tunji tsuwa nye lawaji gugu yari. Chu da tunbi tsuwa nye lawaji. Tsuwa nye lawaji ma yung chinje, ane yige ritu tobo jili dekhaji, ane yene ma, ane yang, Hanko zeze bado ma ju ni yang, drama dan kore jawa chikre. De.
So the first point, it is like this. The place where you decide to practice calm abiding should be a place that, although is isolated, it is quite easy, will be quite easy for you to acquire the means of sustaining your life while you are in retreat. If you choose a totally far away place, totally isolated place, where in order to to get some food or drinks or support, you need to walk downhill till the point that you completely consume your shoes, and later on you need to wander around the market to find the food, and then you have to come back as well. So that is not a conducive place to practice Shirin. No.
Legwanyava sikare sikare suna, peana kashegi chigi nyanda batire zone. Ani nyanda pa zone, digi rimba digi, ani chigi shutengu to, ani ya jasha rabatinde member, ma kijamni. Ani sha rabatinde zone. O tinde member chini shutengu to de linye go yu mato.
So also the very food that you acquire and you're going to live on while you are in retreat should be food that is acquired through right livelihood, not wrong livelihood. What does it mean? For instance, if it's food that comes from, for instance, there is a butcher or there is a fisherman or someone who fishes or anyway, kills animals for his to support his life. With that money that he acquires to, like for some reason, your livelihood, your food is being bought with that kind of money. So that is totally unsuitable. That food is not good for you to sustain you during the practice while you are in retreat. So the food should be bought anyway. The livelihood should be pure livelihood.
Mm-hmm. Da desa de chudeng to nye le la bo yu che ani de se ne ja ani dang ba gong mi kyabje ja ba ani de ngam to an de na hin de jira ba yi ban da ba ne so de jor ma je phe nyong ro jor ma je phe kyabje ja o de na nyong de ani kyang da jor ma je ga ba phe nyong.
So then also the place itself ideally should have been blessed by some previous holy being, or here it is called wise person anyway, from the holy beings of the past. For instance, year around the best thing that comes to my mind is Vajrapani. Why? Because His Holiness the Dalai Lama has placed his holy feet there on the land, so that is good enough for the land to be totally blessed and conducive for the practice.
다 된대 계세 니게 말하나야 아니 nendel이야 담시제 내봐 라마드네야 카단딩에 러버든데 담시제 내봐 아니 겐둥게 디루제비게 내봐 어디네 징가봐도
So at least the place where even if it's not possible to really find a place that is blessed in that way, the place should not be polluted, should not have been polluted by broken samayas, or like people who have degenerated their samayas with the lama or criticized the lama and so forth, that pollutes the place. And or where there's been a schism or something went wrong within the monastic community, so also that is not advisable, a place like that.
Oh, jenre je membache. Jenre je ko ya. Ne je kansa jinje la ko yin za. Oh, jenre je ko ya. Ani yan ya. Ani so de sa de le ya. Ani jen zan da. Ani chong gun da. And
also, ideally, you should be in retreat in a place that obviously is comfortable, is agreeable, you like it, your livelihood are pure, acquired with pure means, and so on and so forth. The place is not being polluted by broken samayas or schism in the sangha, and schism in the sangha. And also where you're not afraid of wild animals. There is no danger of wild animals or robberies, thieves, and also the place is not possessed by evil spirits.
Ani sa sang 차랑게 내면 제사. 아니 사추 쳐봐. 아니 로바에 있네 다주 템바 소소의 다주 템바 텐데 좋나 아니 가서 만에 인디그리 안 다주 템바를 하면 다 로바니래 메뉴 가지고 오면.
And so anyway, this is the place that you should try to find in order when you set yourself to practice calm abiding, where there are no dangers, and supplies are easily available and affordable with Dharma means, and is being blessed, is not being polluted by spirits, non-human or human beings. There's no danger of wild animals and so forth. And most important, you need companions, not just any companion. You need companions who are agreeable in oneness with what you're doing. They're pursuing the same path, companions that you like to be with, and not less than two. So it means the more the better.
아니 녀몬 메다 참몬 치다 추라라서 봐 내봐 어디네지 녀몬 메기
No.
배라 장면도 버진데 내봐 아니 자나 공리 아니 치긴 라다 아니 추라라서 버진데 내봐.
So the place also should be relatively quiet and calm. That means during the day you're not disturbed by the motion and the activities of other people who are not doing what you're doing. And at nighttime you're not disturbed by the noise of dogs and wild animals, and preferably not disturbed even by the noise of waterfalls and so forth. So it seems that you need a place with such characteristics. La tanda Rinpoche karma shichu shengandu.
Due.
Gandu.
Deboro posando per peguia mendo.
La
Yeah.
So Rinpoche said, is there anybody who needs to use the restroom? I say, I do. I've been trouble for a couple of days with because I ate too much. So je veux je me toja je randi shimi te ge bade sangye shimi to mi te bu warge roko nata shi edan guru rana mandala kanye na
ya da ya
so it's 5 minutes break.
Yola java
Sho edan guru rana mandala nirya ta ya me
아니 대외 요제단 담아 문제를 주고 대외 요제단 담아 세도 공주 되어라 교산지 론도 줘봐 강단 되고요 문제를 주고요 아니 왕단 치러서 봐 왕단 치단 배자로서 봐 강대장 아니 되지요作为娘呢今年了去不去
So on the top of all this some external, some internal favorable conditions that you need to acquire before you set yourself into practicing calm abiding. You also need to be totally versed. It means you know, you have total knowledge, complete knowledge of the practice you're going to engage with without doubts or qualms or anything. You have you have received all the instructions you need to receive. You have received the initiation you need to receive, and so on and so forth. And the teachings on the practice means that you are stoked with how to do this practice.
뇌충 초시 원데레 원데니 마초나 되야는 차데 아니 노제 소송소지 되라 예니 딘지 미제송샤.
So then now the second of this 5 conditions, the second of the 6 conditions is you should be of few desires. Few desires and satisfied. Satisfied. What does it mean? Few desires, it means that while you are in retreat, you're not wishing for better food or better clothing, better accommodation. You're not wishing for this to come or to achieve. That is means in this context having few desires and being satisfied that whatever condition is your clothing, whatever condition is your food, your accommodation, you're totally satisfied with it. That's it, yeah. As it is, you're satisfied. You don't wish for more or for better of any kind. Otherwise, otherwise, the torn. If your mind is torn with desires or like wishing for this better and that, or you're not satisfied, you're not content with what you have, then it will cause an incredible obstacle for your progression in calm abiding.
다 수진 답았어. 지르 수진의 연단 탐제지 예인송. 연단 탐제지 예인. 난기 용한 참모 요안이 지르지 용한 라바 요라 뒤바 인다 남이 라바 해찬의 순나 내도 메네베. 디 수진 이제 룡안이 주 담나 요제. 요제바. dunzen pama dunzen mabana dönmeji jajedan tamsoji ani dön dawanjola son dunzen nami mebe dönyon janyon jegoba 어디래지 뇌총 초시잖아 아니 dönyon jawanyon 이런 휴정 son 두바지 제발라 아니 거지다 맨다 못 내버다 종초소 dunzen 인데 봉고 송
So then moving on, you should have the next step is your morality should be pure morality. Why? Generally, the practice of morality involves, in this specific case, protecting the action of the body and the speech. So those actions and those activities are considered to be rather gross in comparison to the activities of the mind. Therefore, with the practice of morality, you succeed in subduing and pacifying the gross distractions, the gross activity, the gross wrong activities of body and speech. And having subdued the gross, then it'll be easy to withdraw your attention and subdue the mind inside, as well as having few desires and be content and satisfied. You should also have very few activities aside the activity of practicing calm abiding. That means none other than that. Basically, while you practicing calm abiding, if you are keep on with astrological charts, drawing charts, thinking about astrological signs and making divinations, throwing dice and so forth, those are to be abandoned thoroughly while you're in the process of achieving calm abiding. Otherwise, you won't be able to achieve it.
Dan dunde mambo chea de, ngaran to le tambo tora randa, daji mu de, ani jibu tambo toli ya, yin yin ya tab chenpo yore soni, de beha jebu, gari yingo, lama tambo suna jem zen tang, ani, gari yingo, budo ning li ya, pipi lo ju, o dire doa, ani de li ya,
So there is a mention here in the text that there is kind of this point of not being involved in astrological charts, in divinations, and so forth is particularly stressed as being something really of a great disadvantage in your practice of calm abiding. Here in the Liberation, it's mentioned some instance in the history of Bhutan, the omniscient Bhutan, and Lama Dampa, another great Lama, that this thing of abandoning all those activities while you are practicing calm abiding is something that applies to whoever, whether you are a beginner or you are a high lama. It doesn't matter. The example is these two lamas. They were great lamas, and the spirit Pehar, who's a world protector, sort of induced them into some so-called beneficial activities, and because they were involved into this so much, they missed the supreme achievement in their very life. And we should say, I'm not going to go through the stories, otherwise we never finish with type of time schedule we have.
Da Bhutan da Lama Tamba Sona Jamdani. Le Jiao Niu Pyu ne, ani ye ne, Jiao Niu ge, Pe Jiao Tang Jie ne, Pe De Ta, Guo Cai Ji le, Chou Gu Mu Ru Ma Ru Ba Jie ne, Jin Le Jiang Jiang, Le Jiang Ni Xiu Gu Re S.
That is.
Ani Dang Dang de, Ya Se Tuan Me Zang Ba Di Du, Zang De Ba Xiu Yang Zhang, De Gun Du Le, Jiao Niu Ji Pyu Kan Zhu, De Kong Ge Jiang Jiu Ge Sen Gong ne, Xiu Ba Yin Zang, ani Ma Yi Ba Re, Jiao Niu De Ma Ne Ba Re, Ma Ne Ba Yin Zang, ani Kong Li Yang Ga Ge Jie Tu Ya Ma Re Si. O Din Le Song Xiang.
So the story goes, in short, that this spirit, sort of worldly deity, Pehar, went to actually. Anyway, these were great lamas, Bhutan and Lama Dampa, and they wrote extensively on a number of subjects. But the point is, because Pehar gave them this particular pen, okay? And whenever the pen was over-consumed, it would come over and give pen again, and because it was from Pehar, so they accept it and they start writing. They spend their entire life writing. And they missed the supreme attainment while they were set to achieve the supreme attainment. At the same time, it seems that this Pehar, this Pehar went to visit the Bodhisattva Tongme Sampo, which we know of the teachings of like 37 practices and so forth. But Tongme Sampo was so engrossed in his bodhicitta practice that he didn't even pick up the pen. So it wasn't being harmed by Pehar in that way. But the other two, they missed the opportunity of achieving the supreme enlightenment in one lifetime because they were being distracted by these side activities that might seem meaningful, but actually, at the end of the day, they are distractions.
다 주소도 상황이나 아니 소속의 부준 챔비 로발을 좀 봐이나 아니 이제는 로발이 양다와 주마도 명과의 인송래.
So if you take the pain of really assembling all the requisites, all these requisites carefully, on the basis of that, if all the requisites are covered nicely, and you start engaging the practice of calm abiding, it's not going to take you more than 6 months to achieve calm abiding. Point is, all these requisites should be there.
Yeah. 다들 생 당보도 살았지. 얘네도 초대amba 세야도 살았지.
So this was for the requisites, prerequisites for to achieve to practice calm abiding. So the second point is the actual method of achieving calm abiding.
다들 니바 얘네 루트 뭐네 송래. 얘네 루트 뭐만도 근데래서나. 요탈래. 니바 나봉 뒤지게 땡데 줄이 중앙. 레올로 단에 당아다 제다 징당 거바다 도미제다 뒤제데 대단히바 안줘도 어디게 땡기요. 근데 연다 녀방아이 냐뭐 뒤지제데 뒤지제데네 아니로.
So now, for the actual method of developing calm abiding, you have to overcome what are called the 5 faults with the practice or the cultivation of the 8 factors, and this comes from the specific comes from the text that is called Uttanamje, that is differentiating middle and extreme. And the quotation goes, you abandon the 5 faults through the cultivation of the 8 factors. So the 5 faults are laziness, forgetting the instructions. Here it says languor. I'll start to translate it with sinking thought and might be changing later on if Venerable George advises. Sinking thought and excitement. Lack of application, and here it says likewise application, I would call it over application. So these are the 5 faults.
다데 녀방아도 바봉 뒤지제데 담발라 때니 녀방아도 봉 다 녀방아버디 근데서나 레로 당내서 레로다 직제 당아나 제당스 당아 제버다 니제 징당 거당스 징근이 뭐지 지리지 숨제 누미제바다 누제데 대단히 야방안벼도 야방아된도.
So actually excitation here and excitement is I'll call it scattering thought. So again, Rinpoche went through the 5 faults or the 5 obstacles that you have to overcome with the practice of the 8 factors through the practice of karma binding. The first that you face is laziness. The second is forgetting the instructions of the practice. The third is sinking thought and excitement. Then the lack of application and over application.
Tande boru de ngandolia Kyabje jendo. Kyabje de Da tinte rubi mangane ani jamshu danga dang sa de dang uma gomba uma gomri so shung chambo nang lo ne yore so ne o de ngarando ge shung chambo de pa su sha ne shung chung chunju de le ya ze de gi ande yo sa ne ma de ba de me sa de le ze ge de na nie ge ma re so sha.
So here, Kyabje Paponka Dorji-chan is actually scolding us at this point. That is pointing out to us that the instructions, the correct instructions for achieving calm abiding, should be sought on the basis of what we call shunchemo, that is the great texts, the great expositions, such as Gomrim, like the stages of meditation and so forth, the works of Maitreya, the great text. He says, instead, rather than seeking the instructions out of this at the ocean of the great text, we rather rely on very small writing, on very small text, on very summarized instructions or so-called meditation manual, and this is a big mistake because you leave out the ocean of the instructions to seek out the instruction of your practice from a very little and limited sources.
Da nyeba ngabo de nyambo de nyuji je ten kong ya. Nyeba ngabo de re shando ne nyuji je ten ba le ten ne nyeba nga de me ba so kong ya. Den de yan ta nyeba tangbo de le le nyeba de ba.
No.
Le le nyeba de nyambo de kare re sana tinghen de je yuan jiang tong ye da ba. tinghen de la duan jin dun ba. tinghen de la zui de zun zhu, zui bin de bu Xinjiang ki dan ye yo de. Ye ge na ne dan da Xinjiang de yo ma re. Xinjiang de de xin de jiang ba. Xinjiang de yo ma re de ye na yang gang gong bei. Xinjiang de me ba yin zang. Gang gong ji yu ne tinghen de yin zang. De la dang bo tinghen de gong ba la yu ni men de be yu shu ni men de ba jian. Xian de men dang da ga ri yin gong. tinghen de gong ba li ya. yu ni men de ba jian. Men de ba yu jiang. Yun tu ma nu bi le lo nye ba yin be de zhong jie me ne Xinjiang yin song. De da da me jiang song. De ba de song. De ba de Xinjiang ge cab jie ne. Dang da Xinjiang de me ba yin zang. Xinjiang ge cab de ba jie ne. Tinghen de ji yun de sang go re song.
So here, now, for the first, laziness, the first obstacle, all these 5 faults are eliminated by using the 8 remedies and so forth. So the first, laziness, is that manifests at the outset. That means, like at the beginning, it shows up as you don't have a willingness or energy or intention to engage in the practice of calm abiding. So, however, here there are 4 out of the 8. 4 of these antidotes are applied here for laziness. That is the faith that arises from the first is faith that arises from recognizing the benefit of calm abiding. Then the second is aspiration. That means you aspire to achieve calm abiding. Third is effort, that is the strength that pulls you through striving into achieve single-pointed concentration or calm abiding. And the fourth, here in the text, is called agility. In Tibetan is Shinjang, Shintujangwa, that is extreme suppleness. And this is the actual antidote to laziness, what really throws away laziness altogether is this Shinjan, this extreme or complete suppleness that is not there at the beginning when you start to, this is something that develops throughout your progression in the practice of calm abiding, but it's not there at the beginning. You need a substitute of that. You need a substitute of that is the faith that sees, that is arisen out of totally understanding the benefit that you will receive by achieving calm abiding. And then slowly you engage into the practice and you build up. Otherwise, so this extreme suppleness, this extreme suppleness is the total absence of laziness. So it's not there at the beginning. So at the beginning you start to carve laziness with the first three. That first is understanding and rely upon the benefit that inspires you to get into the practice, and then the aspiration and so on and so forth, until when you actually achieve the total or extreme suppleness that is achieved only once you have completed calm abiding. So therefore, even if you, at the beginning, this extreme suppleness is not there, you have to contemplate the benefits of possessing calm abiding in order to initiate your practice.
Yurin Tuso Jejang, Simyin Yingwi Javani, Tini Ribur Diamensons. That thing in the Nana, Annie, Dijuat and go to the Annie, Yurin to Gonyagi, Karata Kari Yen, the so Simyan Yingne, Annie, Gazu to Jan Gongha Janaya, Annie, Tini Ribur Diamensons.
So, and here again, there is now, let's begin with how to contemplate the advantages of calm abiding. There is a quotation from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara that Rinpoche elaborates slightly. That is said that no matter how much you put yourself into austerity, into practice, into isolation, with incredible effort, if the mind, no matter how long you meditate or you put yourself to meditate, if your mind is not stable, doesn't have calm abiding, means without concentration, your mind is going to be scattered and you receive no benefit whatsoever for whatever meditation you do. The Omniscient One declares as useless all recitations and austerities that are done with a distracted or dull mind, even if practiced for a long time.
Ordinary. Say Yandali Yingni, Juan does a summy. Annie Yenin Ruvalia, Annie Bache Jajani, Sin Yandalia Yingni. Ordinary young.
So here it is also there is also some ground to think about the disadvantages of the distracted mind. That whenever, if your mind is distracted, no matter what you want to achieve, that you won't be able to achieve it because you are distracted.
Oh, send you, Miguel, you what temple, Yuva. On did tend the one gay, and it moved to Nuvoyova. On it, Tomongi, Muhi, Dunchu saw. Dunchu Lasoba, Druba. New Southern Druba Lasoba, Tendeki, nyomong xie chung tong zhuo, cheba duen xie nian dian cu nian zang de, jie zuo ge pa ge lam tam ji nyun du xia wa so, yong wei yun dian tam ji sang gui ni, sang ne, dian dian ji yun dian tong wei dia ban zhong, yun dian tam ji sang ba le, dian ne, dian dian ji yun dian tong wei dia ban zhong, ding en zeng ge yun dian tong wei dia ban zhong. 대중나 아니 딩엔들은 듬빈듬바 디제 대중나 안딜 준비 준주제 대중나 신장나 아니 림바 이상도 아마게 치마치마 장기 전에 아니 윤리그 저도 연구를 해서.
So again, the practice of eliminating the five faults while practicing the eight antidotes, it is a progressive, gradual practice. So if you reflect on the great advantages of possessing calm abiding, that no matter whatever you meditate, whatever object you choose for your meditation, once you have achieved calm abiding, you are set to achieve that particular realization rather fast and is secure, whether it be in a realization of the stages of the path, beginning even with the realization of guru devotion, precious human rebirth, and so on and so forth. Each of those topics will be realized quite fast and thoroughly, but even the realization of the two stages of the highest yoga tantra, as well as the common siddhis, what we call common siddhis, along with clairvoyance and ESP and so forth, they all come, extrasensorial powers and so forth, they all come on the basis of calm abiding. They cannot be there without calm abiding. So whatever qualities of the stages of the path, being common quality or those ultimate qualities, they ultimately they are all achievable on the basis of calm abiding. Therefore, you start at the beginning, because although the first obstacle, laziness, is direct antidote, is this extreme suppleness. Extreme suppleness is not there. So you start with analyzing the advantages. Analyzing the advantages, the fate. This fate in calm abiding arises strongly because you see the advantages. On the basis of this fate, you develop the second, that is aspiration. You want to achieve calm abiding. On the basis of the aspiration, you develop enough strength to pursue the calm abiding, that is the effort. And as a result of this, eventually you'll achieve the extreme suppleness, that is the last one, and with it, calm abiding. So it's a progressive implementation of these 8 factors.
Ta nyeba de go gu yo re. Nyeba ngag nani nyeba de danga jeba sia de. Ta danga jeba de gare re sana. Danga migden ji yo ma migden chi so ge migden chi. Migden de jen tenbe yun ni sho de ya ani danga jeba.
So now the second obstacle is forgetting the instructions. What does it mean forgetting the instruction in this particular context? It is losing the object, your object of concentration. So, like, for instance, you're set to practice calm abiding with a particular object of concentration. So while you meditate, you lose it. You get distracted, your mind flies away. You lost the object of concentration. That is forgetting the instructions.
당아라도 남바토게 당아디 견제질 공부이 어렸으나 당아디 자오샤죠 도바지. 랑게 면상게 태장. 네. 인도엔들이 야성로 당지. 어디를 저기 요래. 아니, 내 마음 바기지. 가리인고. chirinda durin gombe kalia, ane chiyila, chiringe kable, chirinda dani laku gombata. Ane dorinda dani ashe yorba, ashe sudu. Tsima matse, ane chi ngot no tsamututo dambate. Ashe.
No.
She nambachi.
No.
She nambachi yore. Dili mini pomba laso. Dili yore. De tato dene, tato ge toli yinza, jawa shaja tobe ku, ane taso zambachi. Rangi minsangi terang. Wan dili jil gongi yina. Dayang dewe tes sumban do de dos majo rabachi chedi. De minsangi tes.
So now, as for since we're talking about the object of forgetting the extraction, that is forgetting or losing the object of concentration, you can use, there are a great quantity of object of concentration you can use for your practice of calm abiding, because here in this very context, we are all Buddhists, we're following the Buddha's teachings, and since this is a common ground explanation for everybody, the best, most suitable object for your development of calm abiding will be the image of Buddha Shakyamuni. You place it, you visualize it at the level of your eyebrows, like, you know, okay, I have the anyway, at the like as far as a full length prostration will take you, and so that will be an excellent object of concentration. In general, there are countless of objects of concentration depending what you want to achieve, like, you know, based on the sutra system. Normally you choose the image of Buddha Shakyamuni because there are many advantages to do that. If you're practicing the highest yoga tantra, if you are setting to achieve calm abiding at the stage of, at the generation stage, then you use the deity yoga, the body of the deity. Or if you are at the completion stage, if you use something in connection with the completion stage, you use the ashe. Ashe is the symbol that at the end of the Tibetan script sentences. So but upside down. So it looks like a little triangular shape, little dot triangular shaped, very, very sharp at the end that you visualize in particular place of your body. However, we're not concerned with these objects right now. We are choosing what is the common ground for everybody, that is the image of Buddha Shakyamuni, maybe a thumb size, at the level of your eyebrows, in the space in front of you, visualized in your mind, right? It's not that you place the picture.
Namba togi chashana, ani jawa shaja togada, ani chiringi kala haku goni mewa jamba raba tindeta, ani doringi kala ashe, ani lasoba tinde gomne diliya, ani miksu pune pekeji, tsechuda, sim tsechuda, netobe, rewa jaba lasoba tinde chane yagare, ani panda, 변지 알아미데 얘네 로가라서 다가는 신양 가셔기야 미대기 미대기 미대인데 미다니 존이 아니 균균데 디오데 힘불라서 딜리샤니 원딜이야 미네 아니 로반라 딜레 용기 요사래 용기 요사래 레텐딜이야 자왕아와 쳔베 가와 시란데샤 단대도 마음이 얘기되나 너도 모르래 자왕아바 챔베니 미된데 이시라 루버레 마도 아니 미게된데 루버지 말했어 근데 그밤에도 손에 언데 인들이야
가방이야
나베 가바시라 줘야.
And as I say, whatever you can use, whatever phenomena, existing phenomena is there visualized in your mind and use that as the object of concentration in order to achieve calm abiding. However, for us, it would be best to, like there are people who use of different religious systems in India or in the Burn, they use different objects than we do. For us, it would be best to use the image of a visualized image of Buddha Shakyamuni, as I told you before. So there's been quite of misconceptions on how you define the object of concentration, what we call you. The object of concentration, can it be an external object? Should it be an internal object? Can it be something outside? Is it you use it by staring at it with your eyes? What you do? So at the time of the Great Fifth Dalai Lama, the omniscient himself had take the pain of eliminating all this misunderstanding, saying that calm abiding, because it's something that you develop within your mind, is not an object of perception of your sense faculties, like the eye. So therefore, it's totally unsuitable to stare constantly to an external object in order to develop calm abiding. It should be an object of the mind, because it's the mind that develops calm abiding. So that's why it is a visualized thing. It's not that you place, there are people who do that. Even nowadays, they place a particular object or a candle or something, a flame, and they just stare at it with their eyes. You know, that's not the way of achieving calm abiding. So another thing to avoid altogether is that of switching from an object to another object while you're meditating. If you choose at your outset of your meditation calm abiding, okay, I'm going to achieve calm abiding, now I have all the prerequisites, everything, I choose a particular object. After a while, you see that it seems to be difficult, you can't progress, and you think, oh, I can't progress with this object, it must be the fault of the object, I've chosen the wrong object. And you switch to another object. So that is totally to be avoided. If you switch object, you're not going to achieve calm abiding. So the one you choose, you stick with it till the end.
아니 상진도의 급 데숨마도 아니 뒤변도니 그런 이제는 미된 그런 란상로다니 니제주레마도 연타상로마부다니.
It is also advised and taught that you should get rid of all discursiveness of your mind in connection with anything else but your object of meditation while you meditate in calm abiding. It means that except when a few instances during the day or when you're going to sleep or when just the moment you wake up or where you eat or where you're eating, otherwise for the entire time your mind should be occupied exclusively with your object of meditation of calm abiding.
다들이 자고만도 단데 카샬이야 저거요도 카이 단님과 전에 유여들이 다양 사바토 카지기야 안데 카고도나 아니 초소긴 견생의 시 아니 로자기 조지 양시 트러치.
So I am aware that for most of you, all disciples, you have heard these things so many times, but there are some new people and some people who haven't heard that many times. So for them, I hope it's going to be of some benefits. If for new people you have some questions or you something to be clarified and so forth, you can approach Sally, that is the director of the center, and she will direct you to Venerable George for any clarification, complications, or questions you may have about the practice of karma bhakti. No, because I'll be here only. No. Because I'll be here only during the weekends for a couple of hours, so the rest of the time you are free to approach George, Venerable George, and ask everything. And maybe I can suggest to George to extrapolate the explanation or whatever from Nandrolaj. So I don't think there will be. There's so many people that are going to bother George, but they're probably 15 or 20 or whatever. So So if George could do this, would be very nice.